Welcome to the webinar. There's Daniel now. So we are going to be talking about our internship in Myanmar. Daniel is working with our partners, and he has also taught in Myanmar for 5 years himself, so he'll be able to tell us loads about it. I'll introduce myself first still. This is my debut on webinars here with TEFL Institute. So I am a course enrollment advisor here. So usually if you're logging on to the live chat or giving us a call with any questions, good chances that you might meet me. So as I said, we'll be talking about Myanmar. There will be a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we'll get back to you then. Also, Daniel has a lovely few slides prepared as far as I'm aware, so we'll be able to go through that just now. So Daniel, I'll put it over to you, and thank you for joining.
Okay, hello everyone. Nice to see you all. Kind of, cannot see your faces. Yeah, my name is Daniel. So I'll get into introducing myself. So today we'll talk about Myanmar. So just to start off, my name is Daniel. I have been given a name in Myanmar, which is Kul Min Kant. It loosely translates to handsome prince, so I'll accept that. I am from New Zealand originally, so if you cannot understand my accent, just let me know. I'll try to be more clear. And I have been in Myanmar for almost 5 years now. I actually originally came just on a 6-month contract, and then my school asked me if I wanted to extend. So I said, yeah, sure, another 6 months, why not? And yeah, 5 years later, I'm still here, loving it. I'm here by choice, yeah, not being forced. So also before Myanmar, I was an office worker. I was actually an HR manager for a supermarket. And before that, I was a regional manager for a popular footwear company in New Zealand. Yeah. So let me start off with my experiences in Myanmar. So there's been a lot. I've met so many people over my time here, a lot of locals and a lot of friends. If you come to a new country, I'd really recommend making friends with locals. It makes it so much easier to settle in and get over the culture shock at the beginning. They can help guide you through things. This first photo is a photo of us out on a team dinner. We went to a nice steakhouse and got some nice Western steak, which was great. The next one is another work photo. This was some sort of work party. I cannot quite remember what it was about now. But yeah, we were singing karaoke in the school, which was a lot of fun, and a lot of the neighbors were very curious, like, why are the Western teachers singing so poorly in the school? The next one is my birthday. So down here, some of my local friends cooked up a big feast for my birthday. We had like things like fried fish and like some type of spring rolls and things like that. It was really good. The next photo is a graduation ceremony at my school. You can see here, we are all wearing the traditional clothing. So the women's one is called a tamen, and the men's is a longi. It's kind of like a skirt. It's very, very comfortable. And this last photo, this is one of my best times in Myanmar. This is kind of what made me stay for longer. So I went out on the water festival with a group of friends. And they all, the whole day, you just have a big water fight, whole country wide, just a big water fight, which was really fun. Yeah. So today, I'm just going to tell you guys a bit about Myanmar. So this is the agenda. So we'll talk about Myanmar, orientation week, what life is like teaching in Myanmar, salary, costs of living, accommodation, placement process, and also safety in Myanmar. Okay, and sorry, I think your name was Jessica. Yeah, said before, we'll have a Q&A at the end if we have, if you guys have any other questions. Yeah. Okay, so just about Myanmar. Myanmar is a Southeast Asian country which is bordering with India, Bangladesh, China, Laos, and Thailand. So in Myanmar, there's a lot of influence from these surrounding countries. So the food has a bit of a mix of Chinese and also India food, a lot of curries with rice and things like that. And then down more in the southern regions, it's a bit more Thai style, a bit more spicy, and really fresh, like fruits and vegetables and fish and things like that. Yangon is the business capital in Myanmar. It's the largest city. It's got about 10 million people. It's got a lot of markets and a lot of greenery in Yangon as well, which you don't expect in a big city, and lots of lakes. And one of the most famous places is Shwedagon Pagoda, which is a sacred worship site for Buddhists. And that's kind of like Myanmar's pride and joy is Shwedagon Pagoda. And Naypyidaw, which is kind of in the middle somewhere around here, is the capital of Myanmar. So that is a much smaller city, about 1 million people. And that's kind of a new city. It was built about 15 or 20 years ago, just for the government. Yeah. So this is the famous Shwedagon, very beautiful and golden. Everywhere in Yangon, you can see this. If you get lost, you just look and find Shwedagon and you can find your way back to wherever you're going. And this here is a park called Maham Bardula Park, which is in the middle of the city, which is an old British colony area, because Myanmar, before it was Myanmar, was Burma, and then it was a British colony. So you can see some British heritage buildings in the background there, which is I think that one there is a post office. Yeah. So the country is Myanmar and the nationality is Myanmar. So the person from Myanmar is called a Myanmar person. The main language is Burmese. So Burmese is the main language, but there are hundreds of languages in Myanmar, but most people speak Burmese as their first or second language. The currency is Myanmar Chat, and the main religion is Buddhist. Probably about 80% of the country is Buddhist, and the other 20% make up the other main religions like Muslim and Hindu and Christians. So, yeah. All right, so if you come to Myanmar, orientation starts at the airport. So one of our friendly staff will, one of our friendly local staff will come meet you at the airport, and they'll help you with getting a SIM card for your phone, changing your money, and then they'll take you back to our accommodation, which is located in downtown. I'm actually at the accommodation right now, and where you can rest up or you can go explore the area. In the area, there's lots of like street ambience, friendly neighbors. The neighbors will be very curious and want to know where you're from and what you're doing. They're very interested in foreigners coming into Myanmar in a positive way. And there's lots of restaurants and places to eat. A lot of street food. Once you've been here for maybe a few weeks or a few months, you might get brave and try some street food. Probably not a good idea on your first few days. You might get a bit of an upset stomach. Yeah. But there's also a lot of other restaurants as well, like Western style ones like Pizza Hut and KFC and places like that. But unfortunately, there's no McDonald's yet. I don't know if that's unfortunate or not, but I don't miss it. Okay. Yeah, when you start your orientation, there's a few things that we will do. So we'll start off with going through what you'll do in orientation. So one of the things you'll do is do a cooking class. So here's like some traditional Myanmar food. And here's some of the people from our last group, and they are cooking, I think they're cooking shan noodles, which is a rice noodle. It's pretty delicious. I lived off that when I first came here because it's quite, you know, it's nothing too scary to eat. And then after that, we also talk about Buddhism. So we take you to a monastery or a pagoda, and we'll get you to meet a head monk or a head nun, and they will give you, they'll explain to you all about Buddhism, and yeah, and they'll tell you, they'll help you with like meditation and Buddhist way of life as well. And they'll answer any questions that you have about Buddhism as well. This is one of our last groups as well that went to a nunnery. So the nuns wear the pink, which is great because they shave their heads. Sometimes you can't tell if it's a male or a female. And we donated a few bags of rice here, which they use to give to the children mostly. We'll also go over some cultural do's and don'ts. So just to give you a vague idea, so it's just things like don't wear shoes inside some schools or some houses. Don't point with your middle finger. It's kind of a sign of aggression. They'll think you're starting a fight with them. Even for me, still sometimes now, if I point at a student, sometimes I accidentally point with my finger. You should try to point with your open hands like that. But we'll go over everything like that when you arrive. And then there is also language lessons. So language lessons will help you just with the basics. You can introduce yourself. You can do, if you're really good, you might be able to say where you live and things like that. But also we'll give you, like, if you guys have like allergies or you're a vegetarian or something like that, we'll teach you how to say this so that when you go to restaurants, you can tell them what you can or cannot eat. And if you cannot say it, one of the local staff will write it down on a piece of paper for you. Yeah. Okay. We also take you around sightseeing around Yangon. So here on this group, we went on a boat tour. Yangon city has a big river called Yangon River that goes around the edge of the city. And it's just a really nice ride to go around and take a look. You can see everyone here is still dressed in their Myanmar clothes as well. And this one here is another group that went to Shwedagon Pagoda. Yeah. Okay. And then next, transportation modes. So getting around is actually really cheap. I don't know about in Ireland, I've never been there before, but in New Zealand, it's very expensive to get a taxi. Taxis here are very cheap. If just like an average taxi ride is probably 3,000 kyat, which I'll tell you about the currencies a bit more soon. But taxis are cheap. Buses are even cheaper. They are about 300 kyat, which is probably about 20 US cents. And there's also coaches and flights to other parts of Myanmar if you would like to explore other areas too. Another good thing is in Yangon, there's no motorbikes. So I don't know if you guys have been to Vietnam or somewhere like that where the motorbikes overtake the streets. Here in Myanmar, they don't have motorbikes in Yangon, but everywhere outside of Yangon, there are motorbikes. Yeah. Okay, so teaching in Myanmar. So I guess this is probably the part that you guys want to know the most about. So here, this is me. I look really small there. I am teaching an adults class. They are intermediate level. So they have a pretty good fluency. you can have a conversation with these guys. These guys here are young learners. So these guys will be somewhere in between 6 and 9. Oh, sorry, they might be a little bit older. They're probably around like 10 to 12 or something like that. And then here is the young learners. This is the ones that everyone likes to teach. So these guys are really cute. They you just kind of play games, and they're learning English just by interacting with you. So that's really important skill for them to have. Some of them are so shy. When I first started teaching the children, some of the kids would just look at me and burst into tears because they've never spoken with a foreigner before, but they warm up to you pretty quickly as well. It's a little bit like heartbreaking when you're their teacher and they're too scared to even look at you. They get over that pretty quick. The students here just love every foreign teacher. They want to know everything about you. They're going to ask you about your family. They're going to ask you really strange questions. On my first day, I just remember just being roasted by my students. They just said to me like things like, "Hey teacher, why are you so fat?" And I was just, "Oh, I eat too much." Yeah. And they're like, "Oh teacher, why is your nose so pointy?" And I was like, "I don't think it's that pointy. Come on, guys." And they're like, "Teacher, why don't your eyes open very much? They're very small." And I'm like, "Oh, I just can't open them any more than that." You know, they just say what they see, and it's really cute. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Oh yeah, and also for teaching in Myanmar, like your school's going to give you like a lot of advice, and they're going to help you a lot. Most of the time you'll have a teacher aide in class, so you'll prepare the lesson, and the teacher assistant is going to help you deliver that lesson. If you have children that are like a little bit difficult to control or things like that, your assistant will help you a lot with everything. Most schools are looking for preschool teachers. However, they're also looking for preschool and also young learners. Not many schools are looking for adult teachers, but there are still some schools that are. Yeah. And the school will like support you with your visa and your accommodation and things like that too. And just my advice for teaching would be just to be patient. Like things aren't as organized as back home. For example, one time I went to school when I first arrived here, and the school was closed. There was nobody there. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I called the principal. She was, "Oh, it's a public holiday today. Did no one tell you?" And I was like, "No, nobody told me." And I was happy to have the day off, you know, but yeah, just sometimes things get lost in communication, especially since we are foreigners. But after time, you'll learn to ask or check for public holidays yourself as well. Yeah, and also just be flexible and encouraging as well. The teacher assistant will probably also be a little bit shy around you at the beginning, but once you sort of break the ice with them, they'll be happy to become friends with you. Yeah, and just don't. I guess the main thing is just don't sweat the small things. Just let things go sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So now salary and cost of living. So the salary ranges in between 1.4 and 2 million. I don't know euros, but I just did a quick Google translate for you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys use euro in Ireland. Is that right?
We do indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So it's kind of a big range, but that is because there are several factors in count here. So that includes like your education or your experience or your age and things like that. Yeah. Okay. So this is just like a price of like general things in Myanmar. So I just put the price here as well. So 1,000 chat works out to be about 50 50 cents. I don't know what you call
Yep,
point,
right.
0.5 or 50 cents in euro.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so a can of soda is less than 50 cents, bottle of water, curry and rice. You can see the Western food is a little bit more expensive, but this is because this is not food that is normal here. For example, cheese. Cheese can be hard to find sometimes. I love some good cheese, being from New Zealand. So it is a little bit difficult to get good cheese sometimes, but at the moment they have a good range right now. But I just guess it depends on imports and stuff like that. And you can see like Burmese snacks. I was quite generous with this. It's probably less than that. Burmese snacks you can get for around 200 chat if you want the cheapest ones. And Western snacks like Oreos and things like that are around 2,000 chat. Yeah. And you can save probably around 150 to 250 a month, depending how thrifty you are. And if you like eating Western food more than Asian food and things like that. Yeah. Okay. And accommodation. So this is a typical apartment in Myanmar. So usually at the front of the house, they have like at the front of the apartment, they have like a balcony where you leave your shoes. If you're a smoker, you can smoke out the front. In the front room here is a living room. And then at the back of the house is a kitchen, which are usually pretty basic, but the schools usually make sure that they have the basics in there for you, like a microwave and plates, knives and forks and things like that. And a strange thing is that the toilet and the bathroom are usually attached to the kitchen. Yeah, like in New Zealand, we're not allowed to have that. It's against the law. But yeah, they're not usually like right next to each other, but they're usually in the same room. And this is kind of this is like a general street view. The apartments look a bit old and tatty on the outside. On the inside, they're not too bad. And when you're here, you'll see these blue pipes everywhere. You can see around here, every house has long blue pipes for the plumbing. And in between there, I should have put a photo. They usually, a traditional Myanmar family will just have the big room and then the kitchen at the back. But for foreigners, we like bedrooms, right? So they actually put bedrooms in, which are usually nicely made and comfortable. With AC, you need AC. We make sure that you guys get AC in your bedroom, otherwise you will not sleep. Yeah. Okay. And also with your accommodation, like your neighbors, they'll be very, like I said before, actually, all the neighbors are very curious about you. They'll probably invite you for dinner or go to a tea shop with them, or they want to practice their English speaking skills with them and things like that. So yeah, you'll make lots of friends quite easily. Okay. And then next is placement. So you will be placed either in Yangon or Mandalay. So Yangon is the biggest city, as you guys already know, and Mandalay is the second biggest city. It's a few hours away by car from Yangon, but you can take flights there also. Yes. So when you are signing up, I guess, you can say which you prefer, and we'll try to put you where you prefer to go. But we can't always 100% guarantee. For example, if you say, I want to teach adults in Mandalay, there might not be any schools with adults in Mandalay. So we might have to say, oh, you can teach young learners in Mandalay, or you can teach adults in Yangon, or something like that. So you'd be hired either before you arrive or during orientation week. So you will definitely get a job once you are finished orientation. And we will facilitate an interview between you and the school. So that would either be on Zoom, or if you're doing it during orientation week, we'll take you to the school and you'll meet with the hire of the school. Yeah. Safety. So you guys would have all heard about the military coup here. So for expats, it's pretty safe. Like there's nothing is going to happen. The streets are very safe for expats. It is a military dictatorship, but so is most of Southeast Asia. Like a thing that many people don't know is that Thailand has been in a military dictatorship since 2014. So it's not the only country in Southeast Asia to have a military dictatorship. We also have a great network of teachers throughout the country. So we have teachers not just in Mandalay or Yangon, we have teachers in other parts of Myanmar also, and all support each other. I live in Yangon, so I have quite a good connection with like a lot of the Yangon teachers. We go hang out usually on a Friday night or something like that. And also we have some systems in place to stay in touch and inform of any issues that might impact your community as well. Yeah. So also for entry to Myanmar, most nationalities don't need to quarantine. Irish people do not need to. Irish nationals don't need to. I don't know if there's other people that are different passport holders. That's why I just wanted to mention that. It is easy to apply for an e-visa online. You can just apply for that maybe a few weeks before you come, and you just need to enter in your details. And also you just need to show proof of vaccine and health insurance. And then you'll get an acceptance letter that you need to print out, and then you'll take it to the airport when you come to Myanmar. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
So that's all, folks. Any questions?
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that, Daniel. That was great. I do see there was a few questions that popped up during your lovely slides. There's a few
Sorry,
people, I
didn't
suppose.
look at that.
Yeah, you're okay. That's absolutely fine. That's what I'm here for as well. So basically, obviously, they kind of said something about the borders being closed for tourists. Now, I think you kind of touched on that, I suppose, with the situation that's going on there at the moment. But I suppose, as you explained, it's safe where you're going, where our applicants would be going. But I also seen one where someone was inquiring about, would you be able to go traveling around, and would you have time for that, or is that safe to do?
Yes, you definitely have time for that. You'll work usually 5 days on, 2 days off. Most of the time you have to work Saturday and Sunday because that's the times that the schools need the teachers the most. That's just another thing I should mention as well, that you won't be working at a government school, you'll be working at a language center because foreigners don't work at government schools here in Myanmar. Yes, there's definitely time to go traveling. I am going somewhere next week. I'm going to a beautiful place called Pa'an, which is in the mountains. And yeah, it's easy to travel. I just recently bought a car and got a license here. So I am going there by car, but many people go there by bus because it's only about 5 hours away. But most of my friends have traveled somewhere in the last 3 months or so. Very easy to travel inside and outside of Myanmar. Tourists have, I'm pretty sure they've just recently allowed tourists to come back into Myanmar, but business has been allowed for quite some time now. During the military coup, I never left and I never had any problems getting a new visa as well. So that was good.
Perfect. And I suppose you kind of mentioned as well that like your wages would be depending on your education, etc. Is it necessity that you have to have a degree, or do you need a degree? What would that be?
No, you don't need to have a degree. It's not necessary. But obviously, if you do have a degree, the school will probably offer you a little bit more. But no, that's one of the great things about Myanmar is that you can still teach without a degree, as long as that you have the TESOL training at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we have that included in our package anyway for anyone who is wondering about that. We have the 120-hour course included in the sign-up fees for this program. So if you're not already TEFL qualified, it'll be included in your fees. So I suppose, let's see then the next question. What is the average school time? So what kind of hours per day would you be working or expected to work?
So that will change from school to school because all schools have different rules and policies. But we do enforce a rule when we place teachers that they should not work any more than 25 hours teaching. So teaching 25 hours is the maximum, and that will leave you 15 hours for lesson planning.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So that could you ever have to do, like, say, evening classes, or would it be, is that all dependent, like you said?
Yeah, it all depends on the school. The school that I work at, we do evening classes. So I do evening classes sometimes, but it's not usually every night. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also not late, like maybe 7:30, 8, like
Okay,
that sort of
that's
time.
not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. So the next question is about the accommodation then as well. So is it shared accommodation? Is it single accommodation? How does that go?
Yeah, that will depend on your school and also your request as well. For me, I've always preferred to live with somebody. I live alone now, but in the past, I always preferred to live with somebody just because I'm an expat and it's nice to be with other people. It can be lonely when you're away from your family. So obviously, if you live alone, then you have to pay the whole rent. If you're sharing an apartment, then you'll get to split the costs with somebody else.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And is it kind of like, so you said you'll arrange the accommodation or something like that? Do you kind of give the applicants an option of what is available there, or how does that go?
Yeah, we don't provide the accommodation,
Okay.
but the school will. Like the
Okay.
school will help, and we also help you with finding accommodation as well. So we'll talk to you about your price range. We show you what's available in that price range. We make sure that nobody tries to pull the wool over your eyes because you're a foreigner or trick you with things. So yeah, we definitely help you with that sort of thing. But when you first arrive, we provide you with the accommodation while you settle in. So your first, I think, actually, I'm not going to say because I'm not 100% sure on this. So I'll let you go. I'll let you know,
Perfect.
and I'll tell you. Yeah.
No problem. That's very reassuring anyway, to know that you're there anyway as well, and knowing to be foreigner going into a country that you're not too sure what you can trust and what you cannot trust on it, basically. So it's nice to know that the support is there anyway for that. Let's see, the next question is about the application process. So that's more for me. So I suppose, so we have all the requirements, everything is listed on the webpage for the Myanmar internship. So it's actually just linked there now as well. So you can find it there. You can basically pay for the fees on the page. You'll get an automated email with a type form in it that will be sent to our recruitment team, who will then forward it to our partners, basically. So they will then get in touch about an interview. And once you get accepted onto the program, as Daniel said, you may get an offer for a job before you go over, or otherwise during orientation week. So you'll be able to start teaching then. So the intake is until September. So as there's a bit of a progress from then on, we have the September page, sorry, excuse me. So we have the September start date, but we also have January and April. So there's a few options. If you don't want to go yet, you can wait until next year or anything like that. So get in touch if you have questions or anything like that about it.
I just saw a question from Edmund as well. Do you feel safe over there? Yes, yeah. I feel safe now. Last year when it was all happening, it was a little bit rocky, but now it feels back to normal, basically. Yeah.
You wouldn't have much presence or anything like that of the military in the street, or would you, or what is that like?
No, you can see them from time to time, but they don't interact with us. Yeah. Yeah.
No problem at all. So if there, I think that's the end of the questions there more than anything. So as I said, basically this whole webinar was recorded, so we will be posting this on our YouTube channel. If you want to find it, you can find it the Deaf Institute of Ireland. You'll find it on YouTube there. If you have any questions, get in touch. We'll be on the live chat again for the rest of the day as well. You can send us an email on hello@tefl.ie. And other than that, I don't think there's anything else we should cover. If you have anything else, Daniel, that you can think of.
No, it's all good from my end. Yeah.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Daniel, for joining us on this webinar and having such a great slideshow for everyone to know everything, what to expect, etc. And thank you everyone who joined as well to watch this. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out. And other than that, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.